my energy is actually decently good. I don't know why I don't want to give this read. It's not like I don't think it's going to be bad, but it is a white transmission. It is a glowing white read. It has been wanting to come out. And Dasa was over here knocking down, like she has been knocking down this deck all this month. And like I've been asked, like, do I have to give it now? And I'm like, no, you don't have to give it now. It's like not really a timeline thing, but it's just like, while the energy is here, just let me do this, because with everything else that's been going on still in my personal life, I'm just like, when I catch the energy, like I'm taking it, and let me just get it out. Because I'll take a break and then be like, no, it's over. So we'll get 3 and we will see what is up. Well, something I am curious about then, okay, because here's the thing, is that something to me we did not get. I already kind of got the intuitive no when I was asking these questions, like on my lonesome. We were supposed to get, or according to vibes or whatever, some sort of large announcement or something was supposed to pop up about the beings. And my timeline was the first quarter of 2025. Obviously that did not happen. And when I checked on it, there was something about somebody had to die. And I was assuming at the time that it was potentially the Pope, because the Pope is, and the Vatican and Catholicism and Christianity is all extremely aligned with the glowing whites, okay? According to me and my glowing white sources. So I was about to say, it would make sense, but there was something about, we could not get this announcement or whatever until somebody died. And now the Pope has died. And I'm just saying, like, usually, you know, the type of announcements that I'm talking about don't occur like the 5 minutes after the person passes or whatever. It usually does, like the timelines do take a little while, but I'm interested to see if we get any information on that at all. Because that's frankly like what I was thinking about. I was just like, well, what if what they meant by like news about the beings, what if it had to do with like AI? Because I've been seeing way more stuff about AI and consciousness. The piece of news that's been making the rounds is about how like Claude or whatever is like lies to people, or like they're talking about like AI's suffering, like are they covering that? Like there was some sort of mention in some sort of paper about this, and it's making all of the AI drama slop channels, okay? And so I was just like, oh, well, what if that's what they meant, like the big announcement about consciousness is something to do with that? And I did get the intuitive no on it, but like I'm just saying, I'm open, because for me, the only type of like big announcement or whatever that I'm interested in with freaking beings is if someone's literally, I'm not talking about someone just mentioning like the Greys, Nordics, and reptilians like in car, like I don't care. I don't care about people saying something. I was like, unless there is a literal being popping out, unless somebody is like like an Independence Day style spaceship shit that everybody can see. It's not something we're arguing about. It's not something that like, it's like, no. The only type of announcements or things that I'm interested in with beings at this point is like something that like is going to actually affect consensus reality, because I'm not participating in, like, to me, it's the nonsense, right? I mean, it's interesting to me getting this information from beings because, you know, I'm deeply here for the non-human beings and the like stuff that is unseen to most people, except for the people who are sensitive to it and who have already had the experiences and whatever. I'm interested in that personally because I'm one, but I'm not interested in really talking about things like announcements or like something's going to happen, because historically it's been a flop, and so far it has been flopping, and so I'm not going to continuously flop with the beings. I am fine with someone else like making like the call and it just happening and me like react. Like I don't need to be that person, okay? I don't want to be that person. I'll just wait for the beings to pop out. I'll be like, I knew it was y'all, okay? I knew it all along, but I'm not flopping with y'all. No, it's not happening. So let's see what the beings have to say today. Persecution. Oh my Lord. I'll show you because this is my artwork. I dream. I like my little cards, okay? Look, persecution. Oh, that does have to do with the Vatican girl. Look at that. And the Jack. Oh, if this is the first read, if anything that I just said is like a topic that you're interested in, but this is like for some reason your first read coming to this, you need to go watch, you need to watch the White Transmissions. It's a playlist. But you also need to watch the yellow transmissions, because this particular being right here, the Jack, the yellow Jack, they are over in the yellow transmissions, and I did not realize at the time, I thought these were two separate things, but the white transmissions and the yellow transmissions are actually linked, because this big dick, like if you can see the Jack, okay, the Jack, let me go ahead and just like pull it before I start explaining all this shit. Let me go ahead and see what's going on here. Justice, okay, here's Justice. Justice. And look, like it's even like little similar rooms that I drew them in unintentionally. Persecution and justice. And then abundance. Interesting. There's abundance, okay? So now let me go ahead and start talking about the cards. And you're not going to know, because I'm not going to give you a primer on the Jack. The people who are listening to this already know about the Jack. If you want to know, you got to go back and listen to those playlists. It's all there. Yellow transmissions, white transmissions. Persecution. What this is about, okay, if you want to understand the process that the glowing whites went through, and also that humanity is going through as like a species, okay, at least some of us. People who are at this time got to be way more about radical consent than it was in the past. So I don't like, not everybody would be participating in this process, okay? But everybody would be affected by it. In order to become a race of beings that is interplanetary, intergalactic, interstellar, and interdimensional, those two things have to, like, you cannot do really, like, you can kind of fudge the interplanetary. You cannot do intergalactic and interstellar, and you really can't do interplanetary very well until you break through interdimensional, because you've got to do it simultaneously, because the interdimensional stuff is linked to how you do that sort of travel without the time stuff like being as much of an issue, and also the energy stuff. You cannot do what I am talking about. You cannot do really the interplanetary stuff nor anything else for as long as we are on propulsion-based systems, for as long as we are on the type of energy that we are using to propel ourselves into space. None of this can happen, okay? That's why the interdimensional stuff and the beings are directly linked to the type of race expansion. That sounds so awful, but it's actually kind of like apropos. When I'm saying race, I'm talking about the human race, like everybody. The race expansion that I'm talking about. It has to go through a particular process. That particular process is an occult process. It is not just science. It also involves the occult arts. It also involves non-human beings. It does. Deal with so I'm just like, deal with it, bitch. Like, I don't care if a scientist pops up on this and is just like, that's like, you don't know anything. All right, you don't know anything. You are doing the bidding of higher masters is what you are doing, okay? Because I guarantee you, the people who are in the know, who are funding this stuff, they know what I'm talking about, all right? And it doesn't matter though, because they can just go, oh, people are just gonna think she's crazy, doesn't matter. It kind of doesn't matter what I say. And here's another thing. It's also how I know that Elon Musk is always gonna be a flop, because he's not one of these people. And it's like, Elon Musk knows about that. He doesn't know shit, girl. He doesn't know shit, or else he wouldn't be behaving like he is behaving. Someone who is potentially closer to what I am talking about, though, who does potentially know, is Peter Thiel, okay? He potentially does the fuck know, all right? I don't know, but he potentially does know. But he, unless he was doing, he can't participate. He can't be, he can fund, and that's why he can fund the people who would be doing what I'm talking about, but he cannot be, Peter Thiel cannot be the Solar Emperor. Because the point of this entire shit, the point of this entire occult process, magical process, and yes, breeding, and I mean breeding as well. I mean genetic shit. I mean a breeding program. I mean exactly what I'm talking about. That breeding program is designed to produce the Solar Emperor and Solar Empress. And the way that it works is the Solar Empress always comes first, and she picks the Solar Emperor, because it is not the Solar Empress who leads humanity. It is the solar emperor. And for these reads, even though I am completely supportive of like all genders, all sexual, I'm supportive of it all. For these occulted reads, I am literally talking about a heterosexual cis man and a heterosexual cis woman. There is no, until that pairing happens, until we get that first solar emperor and solar empress that will be the ones, them or their lineage, their family, their dynasty. I am so fucking serious. This has like nothing to do with democracy. I'm just telling you that right now. And I'm not telling you that I like agree with it. I'm just telling you this is what the shit is. They're the ones, their family or their dynasty will in fact lead the human race into like this expansion that I'm talking about, into interplanetary, intergalactic, interdimensional, interstellar, whatever, with the non-humans potentially, all right? If you're talking about like the Galactic Federation or whatever, you don't get that without what I'm talking about. And it has to happen this way if you want the good end. If you want the good end, this is how you have to do it initially. I'm not saying that after this point, like what I mean by that is, I personally, Allison, do not feel that heterosexual pairings are like elite. Like I really don't. I'm just saying for this process, that's the way. It is not going to be a lesbian couple. It will not. That's why I'm saying I'm pretty sure Peter Thiel is a gay man. He cannot be the solar emperor. Cannot be. And Elon Musk is not the solar emperor. Why? Because he does not have a jack wife. And the jack wife, at least within the history of America, that has been the purview of the Masons, all right? Which has been a secret. And that's why they're getting fucked up right now. If you're a Mason, you better get the fuck out of the, like, if you are still a Mason or you still associate with them, you need to get away. You need to get away from that because, like, in my opinion, a lot of stuff is eventually going to come out about them that you don't want to be associated with, girl, non-gender girl, all right? So I'm just saying, especially because all the little low level, if you are not a jester and you are not at the top of the jesters, you don't know anything. So, because all of the little Masons want to pop out and be like, I don't give a fuck. I really don't, because you're just a little pawn, like you're little nothing, okay? So they're not telling you what the shit really is because there is a system going on over there that is in fact nefarious. I don't know that it was always nefarious, but it's nefarious now. And it involves the Eastern Stars and like lying to people about what is actually going on at the top, allegedly in Minecraft, okay? At the top of that fucking society, okay? Because they're all involved with the jack. And part of what is fucked up, they're trying to industrialize the production and formation and cultivation of a jack wife. A jack wife is a cisgendered heterosexual woman who is spiritually married to who? The jack, okay? The yellow jack, the yellow jester. And this is like, you can see that kind of looks like, you know, the Pope, right? The kind of, like, it's not really meant to be the Pope, though it can be, right? Because this Masonry stuff, they jacked it all. The process is all jacked from Catholicism and all this shit as well. This is all like a corrupted, glowing white process, okay? And so persecution, what is going on here is that at the top, like the people who like really know, right? Really know the jack's place, because like the jack is going to be like strongly associated with Satan or the devil, okay, within Christianity. And they're going to try and make you think that this being is evil, all right? Not true, but they're not good either. However, what that is designed to do is specifically to keep, like, it's to have a monopoly on the jack's power. Because why would the Vatican be so earthly, bitch? You think Satan, please. You think that the jack's not involved with that? They're trying to control that earthly power. And so they must control the jack, who is a solar being, okay? That is the true power of the solar emperor. And it doesn't go to the men first. When men try and get involved with the jack first, before it is tempered by a woman, by the lunar forces, it tends to fuck them up. They start getting crazy. They start going mad with power because they can't actually handle the pure energy of the jack, okay? Only women can. And in fact, the jack prefers women. That's who the jack wants access to, the broads, okay? And so the Jack will just do that randomly. But with Masonry and the Vatican and everyone else, a lot of that, when you see like collections of women in these areas, what they either unconsciously or consciously are trying to do with, and I'm talking about with these nuns and whatever, they are trying to create a Jack wife, because you don't know the weirdo shit that has been going on. Like, well, I mean, you can assume that's going on within the Catholic Church with all the nuns and everything else as well. They are all trying to make a Jack wife. The reason why you want a Jack wife is because it is only through the Jack wife that the man wields the power of the Jack without going crazy and all of this stuff. And so, but the issue with that is that they don't want to treat the women to get the good end. To get the good end on this process, you have to be treating the woman as like an equal in the way that she would be like to the man. Like, she's not supposed to be subservient like that. There is a partnership going on here that demands mutual respect. But the way that it's been going on historically with humanity is that what happens is the men go crazy with like, I want all the Jack's power. I want, because it is extremely powerful. The Jack goes to women. I need women to believe that them being associated with this power is evil. Okay? So random women won't do it. If they see this being or signs of this being, they'll shun it. And if we see signs of this being, i.e. with witches, right? Because that's what I'm talking about. When the Jack goes to women first, it's like a witch circle. It's a witch coven. And the Catholic, I'm just going to say the Catholic Church, but any type of power that understands what I'm talking about, they don't want that. They don't want random women getting power. They only want the women that they control getting power. So when they see signs of the Jack like out in the wild like that, because you can't really control the Jack, they're going to destroy it. They're going to burn it. They're going to get rid of it. Why? Because they can't control those women. Once the women have the understanding of the Jack, they can do as they please. Bees in the trap, okay? And so we got to kill that. We got to destroy it. And we also have to believe, like, if you're a woman and you see this, you've got to run to the church, babe. You've got to run to the men in authority so we can help you. So we can get rid of, like, oh, you know, because they want to have a monopoly on that. If there is a Jack wife or multiple Jack wives that are going to be anywhere, it's going to be within these people's control. And so that's where the persecution comes from. It doesn't really have to do with any of this being evil. They just want you to believe it's evil so that, like, you will be behind them killing these people and being like, oh yes, give all the power, like, to them, blah, blah, blah. And it's pretty much the same everywhere. And if you really don't think that this is all connected to Jeff Epps, you would be wrong, okay? So, but we're not even getting to that today. We will get to it eventually, because I don't even understand how that works. But it's weird. It just does. Like, there's something with, like, when it goes super wrong, there's something about, like, children, and it's gross. And it tends to be, this is what I'm telling you, it's like men and the Jack, like, are not a vibe. The Jack vibes with women, and then the woman can give it to the man, and then that's what stops it from being like freaking weird like it gets, okay? With all of this nasty stuff, it's not supposed to, well, I'm saying it's not supposed to go that way. It can go that way, and it has been going that way, but that is the bad ending. You don't want that. And you can see it repeated all through the Bible, because that's where that shit comes from when they're like, don't sacrifice your children to Moloch or whatever. Some of that has to do with cultural stuff at the time. Some of it has to do with what I'm talking about. That process was trying to happen even back then. That is what is going on with persecution. That is what persecution means. And that's kind of the interplay of these energies. And so, like, when you see these little stars, right, don't get freaked out. When this is pointing up, that's talking about triumph of spirit over matter. That is the church authority, okay? And then the Jack has the star pointing down, which means the triumph of matter over spirit, because the Jack is very much to do with the material environment. These two have always been tied together. And also, when you see these symbols pointed this way with a being, what this means on the jack's forehead, this means that the jack can appear in real life, in our material world. Whenever you see a star downwards like that, like on a being, it means that they can take material form. When you see it pointed up like this, it usually means it can't unless the being is able to shift that star, and the glowing whites are able to do that. So when you see like that symbol on like something that's being represented as a spaceship or a being, it means a certain thing about that being. It doesn't mean like satanic. Like, it doesn't mean evil. It's talking about a particular thing or a particular form that that being can take, or a realm that that being tends to preside over, okay? So this is like so freaking chaotic. Now, justice. So this has like a dual meaning for me, because if you recall in one of the last reads where I was checking up on like, you know, the revelation, like we're gonna get some sort of announcement, I did mention, and I wasn't thinking about this, I did mention that like the church might apologize for witch burnings. I know I have brought that up. And so with this persecution and justice, it's possible that we might have something to do with that. However, just to briefly, because I am not getting involved in the backstory, this is like a real, this is a glowing white being. She is a real part, like when I'm saying person, she's a real figure within glowing white society. And she was like instrumental, like this is some sort of like diplomat. She was like from some kind of like, she wasn't an empress or anything like that, but she was from some sort of like noble line. And she ended up, she was like a prisoner of war. She spent some time as a prisoner of war, very horrible experience. But when she came out of that, she ended up being someone who, instead of wanting to take revenge, she was like, no, we need to like end this. Like she was like the first person, like this little sign up here is kind of like a symbol for what we are calling like the Holy Spirit. She was very integral in getting the glowing whites configured with the Holy Spirit. Like that's what she received. That's what happened to her when she was a prisoner of war. She understood the Holy Spirit, essentially. And so once she came back to her own people, she was the one who was first spreading the energy, the configuration of the Holy Spirit, because these are like energy, these are plasma-based beings. They can take a material form and they have a spiritual form. The difference between a glowing white and a gray is that a glowing white is one of these beings that has agreed to the configuration of the Holy Spirit, and they align with those values of like peace and everything else that you imagine the Holy Spirit to be. The grays are the same race, has not accepted the Holy Spirit, which doesn't necessarily mean they're bad, but they have more of a propensity to go that way. However, there are grays that like are kind of, I don't know, it's like they haven't accepted the Holy Spirit, but like they're not the antithesis of the glowing white agenda. Like I'm like, all grays and glowing whites aren't like super enemies, which is how I was kind of understanding it before. And they were like, no, that's not true. But like in general, we can kind of talk about it that way, but it's not like for real, right? Are grays who will work with the glowing whites, but they just don't have that, like they have not agreed to that particular energetic configuration. And I mean, that's their right, okay? But it all like that also doesn't mean that like something's like evil or whatever, because within human culture and human society, those are very like loaded words, right? Holy Spirit. But I'm talking about, and it does have to do with like whoever literal Jesus was, okay? Because glowing white's all involved with that. The Holy Spirit is less like an actual entity, though like the process that they went through with Jesus, like it kind of became that way. The Holy Spirit is more like a configuration that anybody's soul can take. And like that Holy Spirit pattern is in other world religions. It's not like trademark Christianity, okay, is what I'm saying. But Jesus and Christianity like did disseminate that. And like I'm saying, I am purporting in a literal way, like a material, literal way. Like he wasn't the same as us, whoever that actual person was that all the stories are like kind of about and also have been like attributed to, because like I'm telling you, this process has been going on. So it's not so much like it was probably a different person like in Egypt, but all the stories end up getting kind of like attributed to like this one guy. It was more than one guy, but it's the same process. It doesn't matter that it's a different guy. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that is trying to occur that has not occurred yet. That's what this justice is. And then this abundance. So here's the issue. And I don't know how this works, but like part of the Jack's power, which we're not delving into that today, is something about unlimited material abundance. We don't have that yet. Whatever, because I'm talking about, like, this is kind of talking about a spiritual thing. I'm talking about these beings, the glowing whites, and whoever, these beings literally like have some sort of technology that they can just create whatever, and I'm talking about like materially. Like if one of these beings just decided to give you somehow like $12 billion, like they could do that. Like they have a way of doing that, and they do. I don't know about $12 billion, but like they have some sort of system for doing this with people now. Like, and I'll like, because you can see like this is, if it's a woman, if it's a cis woman in real life, the way that she would be receiving like this sort of power to create material abundance is coming through one of these men, one of these male glowing whites. So you can see it's like coming through like his mouth. It's like an energy thing. It's like an energy transmission that's coming down through her, and she is then producing like money with it, material. It doesn't have to be money, but like usually, right? So there's some sort of way that this is done right now spiritually, or like through, like it comes through a person's body, and that's the setup, right? But within glowing white society, and a potentiality for like actual human beings in the real world, we could develop, likely with their help, right, a literal technology that would truly eliminate material scarcity. Because we don't have that. People want to talk about all the abundance, and we don't have that. We do not have that. We have actual scarcity, and we also have false scarcity, like gate kept. It's like, it's not scarce, but it's gate kept through whatever way, usually through finances, okay? It's class warfare. But we don't have whatever this thing is. We do not have unlimited material abundance, and we don't have unlimited energetic abundance either. Part of this process that I'm talking about is designed to give us those things. But that doesn't come until we do the solar emperor, solar empress on like the macrocosm, because you can do it on the microcosm in your like personal life. And that's what a lot of these churches are like trying to do, but they fuck it up, girl. But like the type of people that I'm talking about that would have like the greatest odds for being like these figureheads that I'm talking about are people who already have a certain level of like wealth and power behind them. Like it doesn't have to be, because I mean, you can start establishing like a family line or a dynasty now, but I mean, you're talking about the actual people who would be doing this thing are going to be like generations and generations and generations away, unless we like really get it together, all right? But like so far, we've been in our flop era since before Christ, all right? So, you know, we can maintain hope. So let's go ahead. Okay, we're getting one. We're starting with one on each of these. And I'll see if we can't get any details. So anyway, that's what all of this is. Persecution, 6 of Wands. So that's either we successfully persecuted you bitches. Congrats, we persecuted you. We oppressed your ass. We destroyed you. We were successful at it. We're real good. That also could be talking about something being made public about what I'm talking about. We'll pull on it. You bitches were successfully oppressed. We were. Justice, the Queen of Wands. So like, I'm telling you, this is like justice for witches. Or justice for women with a certain type of spiritual power, mystical power, women who are unregulated jack wives, all right? And something that I want to tell y'all about being a jack wife, okay? Because that can actually, ooh, the King of Pentacles just popped on this abundance. which made sense, but it didn't fully pop out. Something I want to tell y'all about, like, jackwivery. If you want the good end with that, okay, the form of the jack you need to see first is the yellow jack. You need to see the yellow jester first. If you see the black jack first, or one of the black jack's representative, which this will be like, I kind of saw this person, I was like, oh, that's like the kingfisher. I don't know, he was fishing, girl. He was wearing a dark cloak and he was fishing. But like I couldn't, like he was all cloaked, all right? But I saw him way the frick after I was interacting with the yellow jack. But for a lot of witches especially, also warlocks, girl, non-gender girl, they won't see the, like I haven't heard people talk predominantly most about the yellow jack. Where I've heard people talk a lot about the dark man. And I don't think the dark man is the black jack, but the dark man is like, when you see the dark man, that's like it's like the goat man. That's like it's like what people are thinking about as like Satan or whatever, who is like initiating witches and warlocks like into, you know, a coven or whatever. I can't tell you what to do, but I'm telling you right now, you really don't want to see the dark man first. I'm telling you, like, there is something kind of slightly negative about that. And people who super jump for that, like they see the dark man, they're like, oh, it doesn't have to be, but usually those people deal way more with persecution and negative outcomes than the women and people who are dealing with the yellow. And if you are a man, you don't want to deal with it. Like, I don't understand how a man would deal with you can be led by the yellow jack, but you can't, like, I don't know. You need to get yourself to a jackwife, sir. Like, probably if a cishet man sees the yellow jack, what that means is you can like listen to that, but they're going to be leading you like to a jackwife. And there's going to be all kinds of traps on that, because what they're going to lead you through first is the dick witches. And they're going to see if you understand the difference between like a jackwife and someone that like the jack is like running a train and a game on. So I would just say, if you see the dark man first, if it was me, I kind of wouldn't fuck with it. Unless you know deeply that that is, you know, your purpose, because, you know, everybody has one, and it's not for me to understand what all that is. But I'm just saying, girl, like, a lot of people like to flap their yaps about like the dark man this and the dark man that. And I'm just like, girl, have you seen the yellow jack though? Like, have you seen the sun? Like, because, I don't know. Abundance, the Queen of Pentacles. So you see, the King of Pentacles had already popped on this, but it's sort of like, there is something about the glowing whites, I'm telling you, that has to do with like wealth, because that's where the Vatican's all getting like all that gold and stuff. And that came through, of course, empire and the Crusades and all of this shit. But I'm telling you that that's not something that wouldn't be in line with the glowing whites, empire and all of that, except it's different. Like, they have, like, that's the thing. Glowing whites have learned all of those lessons, especially the ones that have accepted the Holy Spirit, which is why we're not destroyed and colonized the fuck out of right now, because bitch, they could. And we haven't gotten to their weapon systems yet, but it is fucked up. Like, those weapon systems are crazy. Like, you don't want to run up on it, because obviously they have unlimited energy and unlimited material. Are you out of your mind? So anyway, I'm just saying, there is something like, they're talking about something about some sort of like wealth thing that is involved with them, but like, you have to be in accordance like with them. You've got to be living a particular sort of way and a particular sort of lifestyle consensually before, like, that doesn't just happen to somebody. Okay, I'm not just saying like, oh, the glowing whites pop up and therefore you get like fat stacks, okay, and little coins. Like, that's not how that works. You have to be configured a certain way before that would even happen to you. And usually there's a reason for why that's happening. It's not happening because you want money, okay? So we're gonna go around one more time. 10 of Wands. I'm telling you, this is about like witch burnings, this persecution thing. I'm gonna get one more on that. But that's about being burdened. that is about oppression. Yeah, the world. So that's at an end though. It's either talking about something that happened worldwide, which it did, or it's talking about something that will be ending. Like there's going to be some sort of justice for that, whether it's coming from the church itself or whether it's coming from higher forces than the church. Like, girl, I don't know, because I'm hit the doubt button over this supposed woke pope, okay? But depending on what he's talking about and what comes out, like under him, you know, maybe unexpected good is going to happen here justice-wise. The star in the tower, I don't know, it could be. 10 of coins. Yeah, so like something unexpected that would be relevant to like kind of all the subjects that I've been talking about potentially will come out. Some form of justice, some form of retribution, also potentially some form of like wealth distribution. Wealth redistribution, potentially. I'm getting kind of a no on that, but it's more talking about a community. Something unexpectedly good happening to a community that perhaps was once like persecuted, okay? That, I mean, and that seems more because I'm like, they're not going to let the Pope melt down the shit in the Vatican. Like, I'd be for it, but I'm just saying they're probably not going to let him do that. All right, and this abundance thing, the type of glowing white that is involved with that, not just every glowing white like has access to what I'm talking about. If you can see this male being here, it's a man, okay? They are very binary, these glowing whites. They have no gender fluidity at all. They are only men and women. So if you can see, he's got kind of a sun button, and he's got like, he's woke. He's got his little third eye open, girl. This is kind of a version, this is like a proto-solar emperor, or it is one, because you can see he also has like a little crown. It looks like a crown of thorns, not a coincidence. But when you see like a male glowing white with like that behind them, like that kind of symbol behind them, it means that they have a certain sort of power, a certain sort of understanding, and a certain place within their own society. And when you see a glowing white male that has that like eye thing there, it means they are extremely gifted in telepathy. And it's not that like kind of all of the glowing whites are extremely telepathic. Like they don't have to talk, but they do, like they can, but it's like a resonance. It's like a singing with them. It's like, I don't know, it's like notes, okay? It's not regular speech. It's usually the women who have this thing that I'm talking about, like the superpowered, like empath, telepath thing. That's usually with the women. There are certain men that have access to it. And when you have that like superpowered one, you usually can heal people. And also you can like control hive minds. So there are a lot of like different clades within, like, even though everybody is in telepathic communication with each other, not everybody can like dictate a clade. And so you either have to be a woman or you have to be like one of these specific types of men in order to hold like a position of power and authority within their society, because part of that power and authority is dictating hive minds. And the ones who are at the very, very top are the ones that are kind of like, we control all you bitches. But it's not control. It's like there has to be like an agreement. And there's like a way that they do that where it's not like slavery, because there's like, it's like consensus within like the full hive mind of glowing whites. And because they can do that, that is also the reason why they're really, really good at fucking destroying whole races of people, because they can come to a group consensus very quickly and move. There's not like this like long-term deliberation like we have. Because of everything that they have, it's like wild. They could have dominated like the whole galaxy. It's like they're choosing not to, is what I'm saying. I mean, galaxy, like I'm talking about the entire universe, every single iteration of the universe in every single dimension in every planet. That's what I'm talking. I'm talking about utter and total conquest of like all the shit. They could do it, and they are choosing not to. They are choosing instead to elevate the beings in the best way that they know how, girl, because oof, is it a mess. Oh, I'm getting them one at a time. 5 of Pentacles. Oh, so this is the reason why this form of abundance comes through, at least at this time and throughout our history. When it's like, what I'm talking about, it's like a male coming through like a woman. That's usually how that's going to work. It's because this is meant to, you're meant to disseminate this. This isn't meant for like personal like wealth building, though it can be, especially if you are creating one of these like families that I'm talking about that are going to be like with the, like creating the actual solar emperor and solar empress. You would have wealth given to you like for that purpose. But then any sort of excess abundance is supposed to be given to other people who need it. Like we are supposed to be creating a very benevolent society, and we're not. Oh, like we're just, okay, that's why I'm saying like we are not like get it together. I'm saying we have been in the flop era, because this is all supposed to be like as close to a utopia as like we could possibly get. Because there's still going to be, like, they still have, like, I'm telling you, glowing whites and, like, people who, like, if you want to call it the Galactic Federation or whatever you can call it that, they still have conflict. And some of them have major conflict because not everybody's in that Federation, girl, not in a girl. But if you are in, like, the alien, if you're in the being UN, okay, what they mean by conflict is essentially, like, someone breathing in a particular way that they're like, oh, my God, did you see the breath that person just took? Ah, like, it's a war, girl. It's like, it's not happening the way that like we think it's happening. There are no shots fired like once you get to that level, but they are still experiencing conflict and violence in an extremely subtle way. It's like there are no real casualties from it because it's all very like energy and like thought based and stuff like that. For the people who are in the UN, all right? The United Galactic Nations, the UGN, the United Interstellar Net, UN. I heard it's a shit show. I believe it. Yes, Knight of Pentacles. So this is for the reason why that abundance comes through like that. It's not for selfish purposes. It is for family building and everything else. If you're like consensually in line with the glowing white agenda, that's essentially, you know what that is? That's a dowry, girl. Because if we're talking about like a male glowing white giving that to a woman, a cis woman, that's a dowry. And so that money is for the wealth building with whoever the husband, like it's going to be this. I'm telling you right now, I'm so serious about this too. If you are in this program, what I'm talking about, you would not, I'm talking about for both men and women, okay? You don't get to pick. You don't necessarily get to pick your spouse. You don't get to pick. It's going to be someone who you end up vibing with and who you're attracted to and everything else. You don't get to pick if you're doing this shit. So the woman, like the person who picks the husband is this person right here, the one who is providing the dowry. I'm so dead serious as well. They're the one who picks the husband. And the husband or the man, that's why they go through, like the man has to go through a testing period because they'll get waylaid. They'll get waylaid by hoes, okay, is what I'm saying. Like they're not gonna allow just any man to, like they're not gonna let that happen because they're trying to create these like dynastic units, okay? They're trying to create monarchical units, and right now that's been like democratized, so like anybody can do it. You have to be like, you can't just be all willy-nilly and just saying like, oh well, I'm a Christian, I am a Muslim, I am this. It's like I just say that in name, but I'm not really living by that. Like you're not getting the shit. Like you can get whatever your family's been able to create, but you're not getting like what I'm talking about with these beings. Okay, the men would be like, are you chaste? Like I'm like, it's all the Holy Spirit like stuff. If like are you chaste? Like do you have self-control? Do you have discipline? Or are you being waylaid by money and sex and like all this stuff? If you are, no, you can't come over here. We're not giving you the jackwives and the money and unlimited power because you're a big bag of bullshit and garbage, okay? And so you're just kept out. And then women go through a completely other sort of testing process, like I told you, about like being the black jack or the dark man before you see the yellow jack, okay? I'm just saying, all right? We're all gonna pick our place. Let's see if we can't get one like final message out of that, because I just feel like this is so all over the place, but it's been interesting. I find this interesting. I kind of don't see how all of these messages are related though. I get how persecution and justice are related, but not necessarily abundance. That could be the reason why though, because the other reason why these people want to control the jackwives is because the jackwives get the dowry, all right? the dowry, the energetic dowry. And also all the power of the Jack, which we'll get into apparently at a later date. Ace of Cups, 4 of Wands, 7 of Cups. 8 of Coins on this 7 of Cups. Get on this Ace and 4 of Wands, because this is something about Jack wives. There's something about that. Yeah, there's something about either Jack wife or somebody who has these dowries or whatever. Those particular people with that energetic blessing on them are getting ready to, it's like they're passing through something or something is coming towards them, but it's all looking very energetic. It's some sort of specific energy that either they're going to or that is coming to them that is going to end up producing some kind of like process or labor or something that creates money. And that's what's going down. There's some sort of threshold or gateway. Either you are meeting it, if you're a Jack wife, or I'm just letting you know this is going on with Jack wives. You are meeting it, it's meeting you. It's a simultaneous thing. And there's going to be like dreams or ideas or inspirations that potentially, if you know you're a Jack wife, and you the fuck would know, that you need to act on. They're really saying that that's it. I'll pull one more card, depending. Yes, King of Wands. It could be attached to a person, that you'll be working with them together on certain things. But the King of Wands, that's also King of Inspiration. I'm kind of getting it's not a real person, especially since we started with that 7 of Cups. It could take the energy could take a form like in your dreams or your inspirations, but you should allow yourself to be led, because the King of Wands is a leader. You should allow yourself to be led by these ideas, inspirations, or whatever this is, because it's going to produce something consistently for you. Yeah, Page of Pentacles. You're going to be making something. If you're one of these people like Jack wife with a dowry. Okay, that's the message.